Hello viewers, welcome back. Thanks for viewing my videos and posting your comments. If you have missed any of my videos previously posted, please check out my channel at my world beat to view. Let's jump into our next topic, which is about pullbacks. When I run through the screeners on a weekly basis and identify the stocks which has some potentials, I always apply my investing rules, which we discussed in our previous video in the fundamentals, investing fundamentals video. Check out the description below. You will find the links for my previously posted videos. These rules help me to assess the stock strength and decide whether to buy or sell. In this process, I generally start off with a price over moving average, which is my first rule, which I apply using either 200 days, 150 days, 50 days, or 20 days moving averages, depending on how long I wanted to be invested in the stock. The next key indicator I apply is in my decision tree is the RSI indicator. This helps me to understand whether the stock is undervalued or overvalued. And the third immediate rule which I apply is to check whether there is any pullback happen, which is kind of a signal for me. If there is a good positive trend in the stock price, and if I miss the opportunity to buy stock, I tend to find these pullback period. This is my third rule to apply. Let's go deeper to understand what is a pullback and how to detect this. Pullback is an opportunity for you to buy and sell. It's a mechanism where you can see the stock price loses the momentum for a short period, which is a mechanism for investors to onboard or buy the stock for a bit cheaper price compared to its previous trend. Sometimes pullback is a testing period for the stock to check whether enough demand is available, which gets the price moving upwards after a short dip in the price. Every stock needs to go through pullback period. Especially in the type of markets we are in, every market type has a different behavior for pullbacks. For example, if you look at in the bear market, it is a mechanism to attract more investors to buy the stock. Basically, investors like individual investors or retail investors like me, or in general beginners, tend to invest more money in this particular period, which basically bumps up the price for a short period of time. Eventually, it crashes down because it cannot take the upward pressure. Or, in general, in the bear market, it is basically the downward pressure. This is very common functionality of a bear market. It tries to attract people to invest money, and it shows as if there is going to be a bull trend in this stock. And finally, it crashes down because it cannot take the downward pressure. Similarly, in the bull market, it's a mechanism to attract investors to increase the demand by slightly pulling down the price. The more the investors put in the money, it gives you a feeling that the price, there's an enough demand in the market for this particular stock, which basically changes the trend to the upward direction. The last point which I want to highlight is in this particular discussion is that if you have invested in the stock and has a decent profit, this is the time to take some profits before the pullback or at the time of pullback period. This is a proven mechanism to get the benefit of the stock growth to the new highs. Most of the time, the stock tends to lose its momentum and starts the downward movement. Identify this period, take some profits. Now we can discuss about how the pullbacks can be correlated with the RSI indicators too to understand overvalued versus undervalued in our next slides. Let's discuss with a few charts to understand the pullback a little bit better. Here's a very familiar and heavily invested stock in the stock market, Microsoft stock. I use this stock for all my discussions as this generally demonstrate most of the known patterns for the viewers to better understand the concepts and what I'm discussing here. If you look at the recent trend since early 2023, you could see a very steady, healthy uptrend for the stock. And as you can see, gradually there is kind of a step model in its price movement. And the step model generally is it's a mechanism called as pullback mechanism, where you can see a price momentum upwards, and then gradually there's a pullback. This is a this is a place where investors tend to onboard, and if they want to take some profit off, they take some profit off, and then there's gradually another upward trend. Demand goes up, and upward trend goes up, price movement upwards, and then gradually there is a pullback happens. This is another place where you can buy more stocks or take some profits. Then there's a good spike in the price, and gradually there's another pullback. And then since July, mid of July, all the way till November, there was a huge pullback, which is kind of a major pullback due to bad economy and bad sentiment in the market, which tends to pull the stock price down from 366 all the way down to 310. And then followed by a December rally. December generally tends to be a positive sentiment month. Investors tend to take profits and they want to exit the year with a positive note. That is what happening in this particular stock too. You can see in the December time frame, there's a really good trend rally happened. And then once it hits the Jan month, and you can see the reality at that point, it basically brings down the price. As the demand goes down, people have exited from the stock due to the December rally. Now the stock actually found some demand, less demand, and the price has gone down. There are multiple reasons where the pullbacks can happen. It could be negative sentiment, bad economy. There are combinations of reasons. Generally, that's the place where it tends to lose its momentum, brings down the price, and if you're very good at fundamentals, if these stocks are very good at fundamentals, they bounce back. That's why generally investors stay longer on some of these top stocks or heavily invested stocks. When you look at the pullback, just think that it is kind of a tennis ball bouncing up and down. When you hit it hard downwards, the tendency of this ball is to bump up again or come back up, which is what you can see in the stock. So there was a spike here, it went up, then it loses its momentum, goes down. Once it hits the ground, and then there's a rally upwards, similarly goes down, rally upwards, goes down. So you can see kind of a step momentum. And this is a very common pattern you can see in some of these best stocks. The next stock I wanted to discuss for the pullback example is a company called Azad. This is a very small company, primarily focused on finance or asset management company. Off late, this company has been doing good. You can see the price movement. There's a steep spike here. And you can basically ask, why did I pick this stock compared to Microsoft? Microsoft is an heavily invested company. It's very clearly gives you, or it gives you more predictable patterns, especially if you're trying to figure out where the pullbacks are, where the RSI is hitting the peak, where the bullish versus bearish trends. You can easily identify some of these trends in these heavily invested stock. But when you compare with a small companies like this, it's very hard to find some of these patterns clearly in their price movement. That's why I wanted to show you an example with a small company. If you look at this particular stock, you could see it has a very good bullish trend. You can see the price movement, a steep spike, and there's a small pullback, then it came back strong. Now, if you're waiting for a pullback, it never happened from late November all the way to mid December or late December. If you're an investor waiting for the opportunity for the stock to pull back, it never happened. You have lost the opportunity here. And if you're very closely monitoring it, maybe at this point you could have invested some money, but majority of the time you will be in the waiting period until it hits the pullback. So once it hits the pullback, you can see it has actually moved at $3 price movement. Not significant like from late November to mid December. Let's jump into another stock, which is a very favorite stock called Crocs. I just laid out a 200 days moving average and a volume. And you can see a healthy movement here. It just crossed 200 days moving average. There's a price spike, upward trend, and there's a pullback to $92.40. And then gradually there is a upward trend, a bullish trend, and then there's a pullback, and then there's a sideways movement, and then a strong movement upwards. When you look at some of these stocks, if you are an investor, you don't know when to invest with just the pullback mechanism. Always compare it with the RSI. If you look at this particular stock, this is an healthy period to invest, and you can see there's a steep increase in the demand, and it has hit the overvalued spot. And then there's a gradual pullback. You can see compare with the price here too. It has a gradual pullback, and then again the demand picked up. You could see the RSI moving upwards. Then it has just gone past the overvalued overbought situation. And then gradually there was a pullback. You can see there's a pullback, downward trend in the RSI, and there is a sideways trend. And then again the demand picked up, and you can see the after the pullback, you can see the price movement upwards. And this is a classic example of pullbacks. Now, as an investor, you have to be very active to understand or stay on top of these pullbacks. If you miss the opportunity, you could lose money, especially in this pullbacks. Pullbacks are the period where you take profits out. If you miss that opportunity, there's a good chance that the price can move downwards. There's so many factors involved, as we discussed in the previous slide. And generally, there's a very common question by viewers ask me, like, how long do I have to wait for the pullback to happen? What if I miss a good stock waiting for a pullback? It's a great question. Every stock needs to go through this pullback phase, which is an healthy part of this bull market. And it's an opportunity in the bull market, it's an opportunity for you to buy the stock. And similarly, in the bear market, it's kind of a red flag for you to say, hey, if there's a pullback happen in a bear market, good chance that it's the way stock is attracting the investors. Eventually, it will crash down, as we discussed previously. You can also ask me, like, what if it is too late to buy? Generally, if you go back, look at my previous stock, there was a steep price increase, and, and there is no opportunity here to jump in. In those types of stocks, you can look at a different strategy where you can accumulate in a smaller batch. We will discuss the buy patterns in a different video, but on a high level, you can accumulate a smaller batches of the stock. As the stock progresses the price, you can accumulate more and more and gradually build a good portfolio around it. That's another strategy. Now, as an investor, how can I stay active and not miss some of the pullbacks? It's a really hard task. For that, some of the tools are available. Sites like Fidelity, Charles Schwab, E-Trade, name it. Every trading sites nowadays have an alert mechanism where you can set up some smart alerts based on price, percentage, movement, pullbacks, and either you can trigger an email alert or you can have a stop loss or buy order set up based on those alerts. In summary, pullbacks are healthy period that every stock goes through, where investors can onboard or take profits. Having regular pullbacks, you can see in famous stocks or some of these small stocks, it's kind of a mechanism for stocks to attract the investors. Always look for these periods when you are evaluating the stock trends in the chart and anticipate some of these pullbacks will happen. You can closely monitor and identify early pullbacks period by setting up some of the smart alerts. Play around with the smart alerts. Be familiar with the smart alerts in some of these investing sites. Thanks for viewing the video, and please check out or stay tuned for more videos in my channel.